We got a couple Pioneers on the workbench today, P38 and P42. The P38 I purchased off eBay a while ago, and I was able to get it running. Kind of had problems with the spark, as these things are somewhat notorious for, with the coils kind of going out. I took I think a torch or a lighter to it and heated up the once when it was like a colder day, and that had it working for me for a little bit, but then it decided to go again, so there's no spark on it right now. The P42 my brother found for me. Actually, he was buying something else off a guy, and this guy had this in his garage, I believe. The only thing is it does seem to be seized, so we're gonna tear this down. I haven't torn into it yet, and see if it is salvageable, and if not, at the very least, hopefully we can get a few donor parts off of that for the P38. The P38, I was able to run it for a little bit, and it was actually a pretty nice saw to handle. Pretty surprising for it being so heavy compared to saws that are newer, obviously. I'll put a link in the description, but looking it up, I believe the saw was 55 cc's, 56 cc's. The P42 is similar to the P41 and the P40. They're a 66 cc saw, I'm pretty sure. But when you really compare, even I have a P41 as well that I bought at the same time as this guy, and the overall dimensions, the body, it's all pretty similar stuff. The only real difference is the chain brake on the P41 I have is this metal bar like this one. This guy, the P38, has a kind of cage around the muffler there, but a lot of the other components and the kind of footprint of it are similar. I think the top cover actually does look a bit different. But one of the other problems with this one, down in here, the reed cage, that's another thing apparently these saws you have to watch for, is they have brass inserts in the plastic reed cage, and people will over tighten those and crack the reed cage. And both the P38 and the P41 that I bought, the reed cage was cracked. I think this one was a little worse than the other one, so at the time I'm pretty sure I just put some JB Weld in there to try and seal it up. Not really a good thing to do, but I was more interested just to see if I could actually get both those saws running, and it worked at that time. So we'll even see if this guy's really rough. I might be able to even take the reed cage out, because it was actually, I believe, the P41 and the P38, the reed cage looked basically identical between the two. So I think what we'll do, start tearing into this P42 and see if we can diagnose what's going on here, and then have a look at the parts as well. Try and do this one-handed here. Get this guy out. Yeah, make sure when you're working on chainsaws that you find a nice welding table with plenty of holes on it. You want to be able to drop as many parts through and go hunting for them after as possible. It's usually ideal. What we'll actually do is grab these guys. Got the pellet stove ripping. See if I can get this out without breaking anything. Yeah, it's pretty stiff. Alright, let me set you down. Alright, got the air filter off. Pretty crusty looking in there. That's probably due to that rip that was already in the filter. But yeah, that's quite nasty. I think we'll keep Walbro carb. I believe that's the same carb as what's on P38, but we'll keep tearing into this, see what else I can find. Probably gonna have to take off the muffler to get a look at the piston and cylinder, but we'll start with just the carb for now. I want to see what kind of shape that reed cage is in. Alright, got everything unhooked from the carb. Let's have a look at how that reed cage looks. Oh yeah, fortunately, as you can see, I don't know if you can get a good look there, both sides of that, if it focuses here, both sides of the insert, on this one it looks like just the one side, there's a crack that extends into the cage itself. You can kind of see it stretches in there a little ways. What that'll do is allow more air to get in and kind of let the saw run a little more lean, which could even be part of the reason why this thing would be seized. Also seeing a lot of debris in there. So yeah, that air filter was letting a lot of fines in there. So that's also not a good sign. So based on that alone, I'm already assuming that this saw is probably not salvageable, but hopefully the coil is still operational on this guy and we can put it on the P38 and get at least one running saw out of this. So I just pulled out that reed cage. Hopefully I can give you a better look here. You can see that crack, how it runs down in. Runs in there on both sides. So yeah, that side actually not horrible. It's not good though. This side is pretty extreme. So you can see this would be exposed to atmosphere on this side, and that crack around the brass insert would kind of let air in past your carburetor where the fuel mixture would be taking place. Interesting about this, I don't know much about these saws, but the other two, both the P41 and this P38, when I had the reed cages off, the reeds were like a solid looking plastic. They weren't this kind of fiber grid pattern style, so I'm not sure if there's any benefit or if this reed's a better reed or what, but I'll have to compare with the P38 again and check and see. But yeah, it's pretty nasty looking in there. So bottom end looks shot. So yeah, this definitely is not an easily rebuildable saw. Just got the recoil off. You can see the coil now. I believe actually the coil on the P38 is blue, so now I'm a little concerned. We might not have a coil that'll work for us, but it does look pretty similar to the one on the P38, so still going to try taking it off and see if it's close enough, if it'll work. But I don't see any signs of trouble with this coil. Nothing looks too concerning at the moment, so that's good. We might get something decent out of this saw. So yeah, I think next I will take off the recoil on the P38 and have a look at them before I bother trying to snap these bolts off and see if it's worth tearing into. Okay, so this coil is definitely not the right color, but it looks, I don't know. It's definitely different, but I'm wondering if we can make this one work on here. Mounting points definitely look similar. Well, I think I'll roll the dice and see if I can make this one work. But if not, I'll have to look into this one closer and see. I just noticed there that wire looks pretty flattened, so that might even be part of the issue with this one. But anyways, try and take it off and see if I can figure something out here. Alright, figured I'd roll the dice, take this one off, try and mount her up. I got the blue coil off. One thing I noticed is these surfaces are kind of scummy with just sawdust and oil residue, who knows what else. I don't think that would have been the reason the blue coil wasn't working, but I mean, I'm sure it wasn't helping. So anyways, I'm going to clean up these faces a little bit. I kind of did a quick and dirty job, just rubbing off a lot of the grease on this, but I guess should do it properly. I'll try and give it a decent clean before throwing it on. Give us the best odds at getting spark again, but these Pioneer saws, like I said, they are kind of notorious for the coils going out on them, so I'm not holding my breath, but I am hopeful. The one nice thing about these that I've found is I only have like 3, well, this 38, the 41, and then this 42. I'd like to get more Pioneer saws. They are quite nice, but a lot of the kind of 60-ish series saws, the parts are quite interchangeable, like 60cc that is. I only really have, yeah, like I said, the 40 series, but I even have like an old P40 just kind of shell, and a lot of the parts on it are similar to the P41, and from what I can tell, the P42. The P38 seems to be a bit of a unique one, where it's, according to the website, like I said, I'll link that in the description, it's only 56 or something cc's, I think, but a lot of the stuff on this thing is very similar, if not identical, to the parts on the P41. So I don't really know what the deal is with this one, why they just went with a smaller cc range when the chassis is almost the same size. But even the Pioneer farm saws, I think the farm saw 2, I think there was a farm saw light that was kind of the farm saw version of the P38. My understanding is they're all pretty much identical saws, but some people online have said they're not as heavy duty. I don't really know what components aren't as strong, but that's just what I've seen online, so you never know. But yeah, we'll clean up this coil, try and mount that up and see if we can get spark out of it. Okay, got this guy shined up a little bit. Should be good to throw her on now. Probably should have checked to see if the hole locations were even close before I went through all that, but they do seem to be close enough. Well, ran into the first problem. The wire to the kill switch kinda, I should have videoed before taking it off, but came out somewhere about there, so it was just a bit too short. I was able to get the wire off of this one, which I don't mind replacing anyways, because this one did have, the original one on there did have that flat spot I kind of showed you at first. So like I said, I'm not opposed to changing it, so all I got to do is just reroute that back around the anti-vibe mount up there and plug it in and gap this thing, and then I think we should be good to try for spark. Well, we got the coil mounted. Here's the moment of truth. See if we can get spark. I will be able to film while pulling it over. Hopefully you're able to see that, but there is spark there. At least there was. You'll have to take my word for it. There is spark. So mission was a success. The only thing I'll have to adjust is inside this recoil there's a metal plate. Not quite like that one because there's an indent in it for the blue coil, and it doesn't quite fit the black one I put on there. I am able to mount it though, so we'll see. It doesn't really interfere with anything, but I just want to make sure I don't wreck this saw. But we have spark, so I'm calling that a success. Well, got the cover on. Let's see if we can't get her to light up. Oh yeah, straight away. Oh, there we go. Maybe she'll cooperate. Well, maybe not. So I took the recoil apart, scraped out some of it, but it's just right full of junk. The spring was pretty bad too. Definitely do not want to be messing around with these if you're not expecting it. It's pretty much a time bomb, just waiting to relieve you of your vision. So definitely approach these with caution when taking them apart, but this one needed a good clean, and hopefully that's all it needs, and I can actually try starting this thing now. Oh. Well, it doesn't run the greatest, but it does run, so it's better than where we started. I will take that as a win.